with a rank 5 or rank 6 score in the Korean system. I was playing in a band. I was a drummer, a rock and roll band. I wanted to be a professional musician. I was always a little bit behind. I've spent my career as a second-tier professor, but I've had the privilege of having taught 50,000 undergraduate students in my career. So I have two messages. 안녕하세요. So I'm going to tell the story about my education. And it really starts with this photo right here. This is my father, and I'm almost 2 years old. And that's my doll, actually. And my father was really into science, and he was very interested in reading, and he would read books and adult books to me. So in my early years, I had a sense of learning and wonder. But then in 1970, when I was 9 years old, my father died. And my mother was working many jobs and had the idea that learning happened in school. So I never did homework. I didn't think about school and learning outside of the classroom. And I was just living the life of a young boy. We were working class, so there were no expectations of me going to college. These are my high school grades. And what that means is I got 5 A grades, the top grade. And all 5 of those grades were in classes where everybody earned an A. I didn't receive any Fs because I knew not to receive an F. But my class rank out of 431 students was 198. And you can see my GPA. And to help you understand what that means, in Korean terms, I was ranked 5 or 6. I ended up taking the college entrance exam. And what's really interesting about this exam is that number 43 there that's my ranking on social science. And I'm a professional social scientist. 57% of the students who took this test did better than me in social science. But in the end, I decided, okay, why don't you apply to college? And the reason is because my guidance counselor called me down to his office, the only time ever that anybody talked to me about my future. And he said, hey, if you apply to college, then you can have a day off school. It didn't matter to me because school was very unimportant, but I said, okay. There was a golf course next to the university where I was going to apply. So I put my golf clubs on my back. I got on my motorcycle and I rode out and I spent 15 minutes applying to college. And then I went and I played golf. And I got into college. And I got into the only university to where I applied because they accepted everybody. So what happened then in the university was I was busy. I was playing in a band. I was a drummer, a rock and roll band. I wanted to be a professional musician. I was working all the time. I didn't have any interest in school, but I did it. In the first semester, I completed 2 of my 3 classes. The second semester, I completed 1 of 4 classes. The fourth semester, I didn't complete any classes. I would just stop going because I had no interest in school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I had no interest at all in trying to figure it out because I was busy. And then I transferred to what we call in the United States a 2-year college because I thought, well, I'm never going to graduate college. So why don't I at least get a 2-year degree? And then I'll have something. And then in my first quarter there, so this is my 3rd year of college, I was still a freshman. I was still a first-year student. my third year of college, I dropped 3 of my 4 classes. And now this was the end for me. If I dropped out, I would never ever complete college. And so I was on my way to my 4th class that I didn't drop, and I saw the library. And I went in the library, and I said, I don't want to go to class. But I used to enjoy going to the library because I always read books. And I went in the library, and I was looking at something, and I saw for the first time something that was really interesting to me. It was about prisons. And I said, I think I could do that. And so I walked over to the wall, and I called the sociology department, and I said, could I talk to somebody? And I did, and I enrolled in sociology, and I quit my band, and I quit working, and I became a professional student for the first time in my life. Now, I had no skills. I had no study skills. I had no writing skills. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing. In the first semester, I got 2 C grades, that's average, and 2 D grades, below average. But I said, that's okay. Let me keep going. And so I just day after day worked as hard as I could to try to figure this out, and I was learning. My mind was opening in ways that it had never opened before because I focused on things that were interesting to me. So then what happened was I finished my undergraduate years, and I took the graduate record exam to go on to graduate school. And so I did my master's. And these are my transcripts. And my transcripts on the left are my master's degrees. And they're all A's. And on the right is my PhD degree. And they're almost all A's. And I became this serious student. And that's me. But that's me when I started my life as a college professor. And that's me when I started my life when I decided that I was going to take my own unique path. Okay. So now let me say a couple things I think about that path. So Korean youth, just like young people everywhere, they awaken to the world at different paces. Okay? It has to be this way. But by having schools with a standard curriculum, we're expecting the minds of students to develop at a similar pace. And when this does not happen, we think there is something lacking, something wrong with these students. But perhaps, like me, they're just not ready to blossom at the moment that society expects them to. And I wonder how many Korean parents and teachers would have considered me a miserable failure if I had been their son or if I had been their student. And how many would have given up on me or secretly wished that I was like those other kids who do so well in school? And how many would have spent millions of won on cram schools because clearly I, as a young boy, just had not found the right tutor? So I look at this photo and I wonder, which one of those students is me? Which one of them has a hunger for knowledge within them that they won't feel until they're 20 years old? And which one of them won't show academic promise until they're over 30? So I have 2 messages. The first is this pressure to conform to high-level educational standards is largely how Korea has been able to develop and prosper in these past 5 decades. But it has a dark side for kids like me who are not ready to keep up. These standards often mean that kids like me are destined to feel like we're failing and failures, right? And if they believe this, the tragedy is that they are in danger of becoming adults who are not aware of their true capabilities. The result is that their best creative energy is lost, and maybe society loses as a result. Okay? So second, perhaps it's best to be careful about how we think about people who do not attend a top-ranked school. Both my undergraduate and my master's degrees are from a very average, medium-sized public university. My PhD institution is more highly rated, but it's not even close to one of the sky institutions in Korea. So would a top Korean company have ever looked at my resume? It's highly unlikely. In fact, it's practically a miracle that I'm standing here giving this talk that I'm giving with a rank 5 or rank 6 score in the Korean system. So when I finished my PhD, I couldn't obtain the kind of academic job that I wanted because of my history. I was always a little bit behind because of what I just shared about my past. So as a result, I worked for the past 30 years without job security of tenure, and I didn't earn a large salary. Instead, I've spent my university years as a teacher because that's what I could do. And this is not what most academics aspire to be. Teachers, we want to be scholars, right? We want to be known for the research that we do and the papers and books that we write. For many, perhaps most, teaching gets in the way of these bigger goals. But I've had the privilege of having taught 50,000 undergraduate students in my career because teaching was a job that was available only because the successful, the big professors didn't want to do it. And because I somehow had the personality and the instincts to understand what students need to hear. So probably because of my experiences as a student. Well, this means that I've spent my career as a second-tier professor. I found my calling in teaching. Do you see how fascinating that is? I'd like to end with a personal message to the members of my tribe, the students, past and present, who are afraid that you may miss or have missed your opportunity to succeed. Others may be sitting here in the audience. But there are many people like us who have average or even below average scores in the field in which we work or we want to work. And certainly many of us live under a cloud of dread or self-doubt when we're not ready to meet all of the expectations that others put on us. Now notice, I didn't say when we cannot meet these expectations. I said when we are not yet ready to meet them. So if we say, I'm not good at this yet, or I'm not meant to be good at that, when we are told that we are falling behind, then we will be ready to grow how we should grow when the conditions are right. When I look at this photo of the child with her head on the desk, I can't stop myself from thinking that one day she'll be succeeding in her true vocation in ways that her teachers never could have imagined. They couldn't imagine it because her budding talent, her emerging talent was not ready to open when they thought that it should. And she succeeded only because her spirit was wise enough to send her a message. And that message was, slow down. Life is long. You are not failing. You're going at a different speed. And everything will fall into place for you in the time that it should. So I'm really grateful that my academic journey happened at the pace that it did, because today I get to do what I truly love. exchange interesting ideas with students, with my students, and with people all around the world. This is my blessing. And here's my final statement. The world is filled with social problems. And these can only be solved by curious minds. Okay? Look for what excites you and brings you to life. Okay? And then pursue it. But pursue it at your own pace. And remember, especially the young ones here, remember these words. Okay? It's never too late to bloom. Thank you. 감사합니다.